Is it any wonder that the suicide rates have gone up, but also the society, convincing people that they're born in the wrong body, that, the way they were created was a mistake, that the name their parents gave them is their dead name? Of course the suicide rates are going up.
What is the success rate of sex change procedures for children?
If you look at the testimony from medical societies, they indicate...
It's zero. You can't change your sex. So it's zero. So I want the record to be clear that the Biden administration targeted and prosecuted Dr. Haim and Ms. Sivadge for exposing medical procedure, surgery, and pharmaceutical intervention that has a 100% failure rate. Am I correct, Dr. Haim?
That is exactly correct.
Dr. Haim, you have exposed the fact that medical providers were providing dangerous and illegal treatments to minors. And both the Biden White House and the activists who are actually running the show behind the scenes didn't like what you were exposing. Isn't that also correct?
That's correct.
And do you think that their subsequent federal pressure was brought to bear on you was that merely a coincidence, or was it to try to stop you from exposing what they were doing?
It was in order to prevent me from exposing what they were doing and to silence other whistleblowers.
Ms. Sivadge, what is gender dysphoria? And I ask that question because I'm a pretty well-educated person and pretty well-read person. This is something that we didn't even really know about or talk about 3 or 4 years ago. What is this?
Gender dysphoria is when a child is confused about their birth identity. And that the key there is the confusion, because the problem is not in the physical body of the child. The problem is in their mind. And so why are we pushing as a society a solution that will irreversibly harm and sterilize children's bodies when truly the problem is that they're confused about their birth identity in their mind? And so part of what I've done here and part of why we're here today is to affirm and to celebrate ultimately God's design for our gender and sexuality, and that is something that should be defended.
Well, are there industries that stand to benefit financially from these procedures, these industries?
I refer to them as the Unholy Trinity, which is the healthcare insurance companies, the pharmaceutical industry, and the hospital system. And all three of these institutions have much to gain because this is a highly lucrative industry that exploits the vulnerabilities of children.
Why don't you explain that a little bit further?
Well, in my case, I came forward to expose Medicaid fraud, and I saw firsthand how Texas Children's Hospital was illegally utilizing Texas Medicaid to fund quote-unquote gender-affirming care, which is really gender-denying care. And the taxpayers were billed for this, and that is illegal in the state of Texas. And so this benefited the pharmaceutical industry because the child is put down a path of medicalization, making them a medical patient for life. So the pharmaceutical industry has a vested interest in making sure that a child is initiated down this irreversible path.
Dr. Haim, sex change hormones and puberty blockers are presented to patients and their parents as life-saving treatment. What is the reality and effects these treatments actually have on children?
The reality is that what they're telling them is the opposite of the truth. These hormones, the blockers, the surgeries will put them down a path that they can never come back from. They always say that it's reversible, but once you start changing your physiology from the inside out, right, because that's what these hormones do, they change the cellular architecture of every single cell in your body in a way that you can't take back. And it takes a while for the physical changes to develop. But once they happen, there's no going back.
Okay, and so again, you've got lifelong patients as a result of these interventions.
Yeah, and they were saying that suicide rates have gone up. Is it any wonder that the suicide rates have gone up, but also the society, convincing people that they're born in the wrong body, that the way they were created was a mistake, that the name their parents gave them is their dead name? Of course the suicide rates are going up, and it's exactly because of what these people call quote unquote gender affirming care. But what it really is the destruction of the self.
It's a pretty cruel industry as far as I can tell. I have a lot more questions I'd love to engage in with all of you. Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for your bravery, and thank you for being here.